29th day of the month of Marcheshvan. Hold on a sec, that should make it better. There we go. 29th day of the month of Marcheshvan, and it's Erev Rosh Chodesh. Erev Rosh Chodesh, tonight Pesachim will be Rosh Chodesh Kislev. And we are learning Maseches Pesachim, Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. We are holding at the bottom of Samach Beis, Amud Beis, at the bottom of the page, 4 lines from the bottom. We read these 2 lines yesterday, and we'll take it from there. Introducing the sugya, the Gemara says as follows: Tanya. We have a brayso that says as follows: Acherim Omrim. Others say. Who are the others? So in this case, as in many cases, Acherim means Rabbi Meir, and we'll see on the next Amud that the Gemara takes it as Pashat, that we're talking about Rabbi Meir here. So Acherim Omrim, others, meaning Rabbi Meir says, Hiktim Mulim La'arelim, that if the person, Shechtin and Korban Pesach, had in mind, first, Mulim, people that had a Bris Milah, and then Arelim, people that didn't have a Bris Milah, kosher. Then the Korban Pesach is still kosher. Arelim and Mulim pasul. But if he had in mind uncircumcised people and then circumcised people, pasul, then all Korban is going to be pasul. Okay. And now the Gemara is going to try to understand what this opinion of Reb Meir is talking about. Ma'ishna Mulim la'arelim. What is the difference between Mulim and Arelim, the kosher? What's the reason that Mulim before Arelim is kosher? So we say the kula arla ba'inan, because in order to pass the Korban, you need all of them to be Arelim. Meaning, if you had in mind Mulim and Arelim, so that would be okay. Because until you have in mind that I'm shechting this only for Arelim, only for people that don't have Bris Milah, the Korban Pesach is going to be kosher. So the kula arla ba'in, you would need everybody to be an arel in order to pass the Korban. Veleka, and that's not clearly because you have Mulim and Arelim in this intention. Arelim lemulim nami, so that should be the same thing. If the intention was I'm shechting this for the sake of Arelim, uncircumcised people, and then lemulim, why would the order make a difference? We have the same requirement. You need everybody to be an arel in order to invalidate the korban. Veleka, and that's not here. So why does Reb Meir have this distinguishing differentiation here? Turning over the page in Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph, which is our Amud for today, says the Gemara as follows: Let's say that Reb Meir holds that shchita is only affected, meaning whatever intentions you have for shchita, we'll say like that, are only relevant basayf at the end of the shchita. Meaning, only when shchita is just about to be done, at that point in time, that's where the intentions are important. The Rava, and this goes according to the opinion of Rava, the Amar Rava says, Adain hi machlokes. It is still a machlokes. What exactly is this talking about, that this is still a machlokes? So there is a machlokes between Reb Meir and Reb Yossi, and we've seen this machlokes a number of times before. Reb Meir is of the opinion that we don't take into account the end of your statement. Meaning, if a person were to say this korban is an ola, this korban is a shlamim, so we think we say you said it's an ola first. That's an ola. That's an ola. The fact that you said that it's a shlamim is irrelevant. Rabbi Yossi says no. We do care about both statements, even though they are contradictory, and therefore that animal would need to be sold, and the money would need to be divided up to buy both an ola and a shlamim. That is the Gemara in Maseches Pesachim on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. However, the Gemara then asks a further question. What if the person says half of this animal is for an ola and half of this animal is for a shlamim? Meaning, he didn't have in mind that the whole thing should be an ola, and he didn't have in mind that the whole thing should be a shlamim. You cannot have one animal that has both of these things. According to Reb Meir, would he say, like Rabbi Yossi, okay, we agree at this point in time that half of it now needs to be sold off to be a shlamim and half needs to be sold off to be an ola? Or would you say, no, you said half of it is a shlamim, and now whatever you say after that is irrelevant because there's no such thing as half an animal being a shlamim, the whole thing is a shlamim. Or is it still machlokes? And this is the machlokes between Abaye and Rava. Abaye holds that Reb Meir would say that he agrees to Rabbi Yossi in this case, that you should sell it and divide it in half and half. And Rava says that Adayin hi machlokes, that Reb Meir still is going to say that this is a machlokes. Meaning he's still going to say that we only care about your first statement. And that is within the understanding of the Gemara over here. So, at the top of the Amud, that we only care about your intention at the end. And this is in accordance to the opinion of Rava. Rava says Adayin hi machlokes, that it is still a machlokes. Hilkach, therefore, let's play this out. If the person shechting the korban, said, I'm doing this for mulim, and then for arelim, mulin chayli, then the statement of saying that this is for a person that, for the people that are bris milah, chayli, that one worked. That now was chal. It has taken effect on this animal. Arelim, with regards to arelim loy chayli, that irrelevant, didn't happen because according to Rebbe, that statement hasn't happened at all. Says the Gemara, hiktim arelim lemulim, but if you intended arelim first and then mulin, arelim chayli, that arelim was the thing that took effect, mulin chayli, and mulin didn't take effect at all. Meaning, why does Reb Meir say that the order makes a difference? Because the only time that any intention makes a difference is right at the end of the shechita, and at that point in time, it's only the first thing that you say that is relevant at all. Amar Rabba says, "Loy, that's not true. That line of thinking doesn't work. Because Reb Meir is of the opinion that shechita is a process. It's not an instant. It is a process. It takes place from the beginning to the end. And you cannot say that there was only one moment of shechita. There are multiple moments of shechita. There's a process of shechita. And the intention that you had at the beginning of shechita and the intention that you had at the end of the shechita should both be relevant, and there shouldn't be a differentiation between whether you were thinking in your mind to have it be for mulim and arelim or arelim and mulim. They should still be the same. They should still be the same because you have the same situation of it saying for arelim and mulim and arelim, both of them, as long as you don't have a whole group of people that are entirely arelim, the whole thing should be okay. Says Rabbi instead, what are we talking about in this case? What is this din of Reb Meir? What happens if the person in his heart thought, he intended, I wanted for mulim and arelim, bein lemulim bein learelim. I wanted both for mulim and arelim. But what did you say at the point in time of shechit? Learelim, for people that are arelim. And he didn't have a chance to say lemulin, that I want this to be for mulin as well. Until the kohen that was shechting the korban finished shechting. It's done. It's finished. And he hasn't said the word lemulim. And this is the machlokes. Reb Meir is of the opinion, we don't require your heart and your words to be equal in order to passel the korban. If your words said la'arelim, we don't care about what you were thinking, even though you intended it to be both. If you said la'arelim during the shechita, that's all that you said during the shechita, then at that point in time, we don't care about what you were intending. The Rabbanan of the opinion, in order to invalidate the korban, you would need both piv v'libo. You would need both the intention and the words to match up. Says the Gemara, okay, Rabba, is it really true that Reb Meir doesn't require that your words and your mind be equivalent in order to render a korban as possible? Veremino, we have a statement that contradicts this. If a person planned on saying this is truma, v'amar meiser, and accidentally said meiser, meaning he wanted to say this is truma, but he didn't say truma. The word meiser came out. Meiser, he wanted to make it meiser v'amar truma, and he said truma instead. A person said a neder. He said, I'm not going into this house. V'amar lazeh. And he said to that house. Meaning, he wanted to say one thing, and he ended up saying another thing. that I don't get benefit from this person. And he said another person. He said, I don't want to get any hana from Shimon, and that's what he wanted to say, but instead he said Reuven. So, Loi Amar Klum, he didn't say anything until his intention and his words match up. Says Reb Meir, you cannot create an effect on a item if the words that you said didn't match what you wanted to say. So that answer of Rabbah is inadmissible. You can't say that Reb Meir is of the opinion that if you intended to say lemulim la'arelim and you only said la'arelim and you didn't have time to say lemulim, that it's over already, and now we're gonna hold you responsible only for the word arelim, because that's not what you meant. Says the Gemara, Ela Amar Abaye. Abaye says as follows: Reisha, at the beginning, the Amar Siman Rishon lemulim. The first part of this brisa is where he says lemulim la'arelim lemulim. So he says Siman Rishon lemulim. In order to shech the karban, in order to shech any behema, you need to shech both the kana and the veshes. That's the esophagus and the windpipe. Yeah, meaning you need to order, but you need to cut roiv of shtei simanim. You have to cut the majority of two of those anatomical aspects of the animal. You have to shech both. What happens if says Abaye Reisha the Amar Siman Rishon Lemulim? He says, I'm shechting the first one, the first pipe for mulin. But Siman Sheni af la'arelim. And the second one, I'm doing even for the arelim. The Siman Sheni nami b'sich be'lemulim. So the second pipe also includes people that are mulim, meaning the first one was only for mulim. The second one is mulim and arelim. Seifa, the second part of Reb Meir's statement, the Amari person says, Siman Rishon la'arelim, the first siman I'm doing for uncircumcised people, Siman Sheni lemulim. But the second one I'm doing even for circumcised people. The Siman Rishon ha lo b'sich mulim. The first siman he didn't include mulim at all. The Reb Meir Latame, this is Reb Meir consistent with his approach in general. The Amar who holds, what does Reb Meir hold? Bepalgin bechatzi matir. That pigul, meaning invalidating a korban through a person's intention, can occur even in a chatzi matir. What's a chatzi matir? So shchita is called a matir, meaning in general, shchita is a nobody says that you have to eat meat. There's no chiyuv in the Torah that a person has to eat meat. I mean, simchas Yom Tov, etc. But what the Torah is saying is that in order to eat meat, you have to shecht it, which is why shchita is called a matir. It's a matir. It's a thing that allows you to eat meat. So bechatzi matir means that you can have pigul at different stages of the matir. We don't view shchita as one thing. We view shchita as multiple activities within one avoda. And pigul could apply even if in one part of shchita you had the wrong intention. What's Reb Meir saying? That if in one part of the avoda you intended only for arelim, that's going to create pigul for the whole thing, meaning that's going to invalidate the whole korban, because we view shchita not as one activity, but as multiple activities that make up one avoda. Mepalgin bechatzi matir. That's the opinion of Reb Meir. V'Rabbanan, and according to the Rabbanan Tamai, the Rabbanan disagree with Reb Meir. The Amri ein mepalgin bechatzi matir, that there is no pigul bechatzi matir, meaning as long as you had intention at some point in time during the shchita that this was for mulin, then the whole thing is for mulin. Even if you intended that it should be for arelim as well at some point in time, as long as at some point there was the understanding that this is for mulin. Okay. Ad kan, this pretty complicated discussion and sugya. We are, of course, not out of the woods yet with regards to these discussions, because we are about to see the Mishnah that relates back to all of the questions that we've had of Lishmai and Shilal Lishmai and Zman and Shilal Zman. Says the Mishnah as follows, Masnisin, so the Mishnah, the bottom third of Samach Gimel and Aleph, says the Mishnah as follows, HaSheichet es HaPesach al HaChametz. If a person were to shecht a Korban Pesach in possession of chametz, meaning this is Erev Pesach after Chatzos, where you are not allowed to own chametz, says the Mishnah, a person has invalidated has violated an Isser mi de'oraisa over below sase. What is the Isser that they violated? The pasuk says, lo tishchat lo tishchat al chametz dam zivchi, that you're not allowed to shecht Korban Pesach while owning chametz. Rabbi Yehuda says, af hatamid. What is dam zivchi? The blood of my korban. It's not just the Korban Pesach. It means even the Korban Tamid. Even the Korban Tamid, if the kohen that is shechting the Korban Tamid, and we'll see exactly who we're talking about in the Gemara, but the person shechting the Korban Tamid, he would also be violating an Issa Daraisa, not just of owning chametz on Erev Pesach, but an Issa Daraisa of shechting a korban, any korban, on Erev Pesach. Rabbi Shimon is of the opinion that Pesach ba'arba asar lishmai chayiv. That if a person were to shecht a Korban Pesach on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, lishmai, for the sake of Korban Pesach, and you'd be owning chametz at that point in time, chayiv, you are liable. Shaloi lishmai, but if you shechted it shaloi lishmai, if you had the wrong intention, you said I'm shechting this as a shlamim, you'd be pater. Why? Because Reb Shimon would say that this is not a kosher korban at all. Meaning, if you shechted a Korban Pesach on Erev Pesach, shaloi lishmai, not with the intention of it being a Korban Pesach, you haven't done anything. There's no korban here at all, and therefore you wouldn't have been able to have violated the Isha Daraisa of lo tishchat al chametz dam zivchi. You haven't violated anything. And all other korbanos, bein lishman, bein shaloi lishman, whether you had intention or for the right that they should be for their own sake, bein shaloi lishman, or for some other intention, pater. You'd be pater because this Isser only applies to Korban Pesach. Uva moyed, but if you were to shecht the Korban Pesach, if you were to shecht the Korban Pesach while owning chametz on Pesach itself, lishmai pater. If you shechted it as a Korban Pesach, you'd be pater because there's no such thing as a Korban Pesach on any other day of the year. Shaloi lishmai chayev, but if you were to shecht it on Pesach, shaloi lishmai, then you would be chayev. Then you'd be chayev because in such a case, that Isser would still apply. Now, whose opinion of that? We'll have to see. And with regards to all other korbanos, bein lishman, bein shaloi lishman, whether you shechted it for its intention and or not for its intention, chayev, you'd be chayev for shechting any korban, whether for its intention or not its intention on Pesach while in possession of chametz, because, and we'll explain that later, this is the Gemara at the beginning of Maseches Vachim, they are still kosher korbanos in some way, shape, manner, or form, and we will have to discuss. Chutz min hachatas, aside from a korban chatas sheshachto shaloi lishma, which if you shechted it shaloi lishma, it's not going to be kosher at all. It's the whole thing is going to be puzzle. It's not going to work, and we will need to now parse out and understand all of these dinim. We will pick up from the Gemara tomorrow, Rosh Chodesh. Everybody should have a beautiful day, and we'll see you then.